Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Take 10 million, 5 gajillion, 72 kabillion
.6
of G&A Podcast. I am your host, Drooby-Doo, along with my wonderful co-host, the one and only
Soberoni.
Oh my god, it's so nice to finally hear her name.
Guys, you don't understand how many intro takes we've had. Some of them are really, really good intros, and I mean, they're just gone to the wind now. I really liked our first intro from like 7 million takes ago.
Yeah, that was a really good one. It was really strong. I don't remember it. It was so long ago. Yeah, so before something happens, like lightning strikes, and doesn't even it just doesn't even hit me. It just destroys my connection once again. Let's just jump right into it. But before we do, I just want to say, if you're enjoying this, and the fact that we are going through so much pain, just to put up like an hour-long video, about
Drew is
anime
almost
and
mind
shit,
broken right now.
then by all means, drop a like, maybe even subscribe if you're feeling a little feisty. But with that, let us begin.
Yes, let us begin with Boku no Hero Academia, episode 10. This is the basically penultimate episode of the season, I would say. Well, I don't know, there's still a lot of episodes left, but it's been building up to this moment so far. And the whole episode is just the fight between Todoroki and Midoriya.
Yeah.
I think that's as much explanation as the episode needs. It is a beast fucking fight that is like super great and amazing and has so many different So I guess if I wanted to break down the fight in terms of how it progresses, it basically starts off with Midoriya using his little tactic of creating air pressure from snapping his fingers, but of course every time he snaps his fingers, he breaks them to counter Todoroki's ice attacks. And as the fight progresses, Midoriya gets progressively more beaten up. About halfway through the fight, we get this extremely sad backstory for Todoroki and his interactions with his mother and how she got to where she got to.
Yeah.
And ultimately, the fight ends, surprisingly enough, in Todoroki's victory after he awakens to using the firepower that he refused to use this whole time.
Can I just say that in my mind, that was definitely not like. I'm happy that they did that. I'm super happy because logically, he should win. I'm just saying. Yeah. Logically, he should win.
Yeah, I'm glad that they let Todoroki win and Midoriya lose because, first off, this is a semifinal. I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's any other show, especially a shonen, where the main character just loses in the semifinal, not even the finals.
Yeah, because sometimes, because Goku from Dragon Ball, he lost in the final multiple times, I think.
Yeah, they'll have the hero make it to the finals and then lose, but never well, you almost made it to the finals, but
yeah.
And he could have won. Midoriya could have won but he cared more about actually pushing Todoroki to reach his potential for a fair fight than, taking advantage of the
fact.
But this episode, I think, well, beyond being my episode of the week, clearly, this episode was, I think, one of the best anime episodes ever. Period. Done. It was just so good. It was so good on every level. The fight was literally one of the best fight scenes in any. I don't care if you want to compare it to whatever Frieza versus Goku fight that took 50 million episodes to finish. Whichever one of those is the best one. Or if you want to compare it to Toguro, what's his name? Yusuke versus it's Toguro, right?
Yeah, from the Dark Tournament.
Yeah, from the Dark Tournament. This fight is in that pantheon of great anime fights.
Agreed.
And the backstory for Todoroki made it all that much more better, which I feel super sad for his mother.
Maybe I have to watch it again. I don't know, maybe through like my haze of anger. Like, don't get me wrong, it's definitely like the best. Yes, it is the best episode of this season. Do I put it like up there in the pantheon of fights? Maybe.
The music was so great too.
The music
like,
was good.
That scene where they did the final clash between them, and just the music ramps up, and it's like, oh, the animation was good.
I don't know. My only problem with it is that like, like, I'm not saying I'm not biased, because like literally, like I said, yesterday was not a good day. I could just be speaking off like, the anger induced like tunnel vision that I had, but like a lot of the fight just seemed to have been like very one-dimensional. Like, I'm gonna give you an ice attack, I'm gonna knock it away with my finger, ice attack, knock away with my finger, ice attack, finger, ice attack, finger, ice attack, finger, and then we're like, well, we're pretty much like at our point, let's just have this big final clash, and then whoever wins. Like,
yeah, but I feel like most things can be reduced to that. Like, oh, I'm gonna shoot you with a ki blast, deflect, ki blast, deflect, ki. Like, it's yeah.
No,
if you boil it down to its basic elements,
Frieza and Goku was not that simple. Sorry,
it wasn't that simple.
You can't dumb it down to that.
Like, you can dumb any fight down to that level. It's just, yeah, it was a lot of Todoroki shooting ice and then Midoriya deflecting it, but like it was done in such a like unique, cool way. It was not like they were just sitting there shooting ice and deflecting it the whole time.
Yeah. Like I like that, even though I thought it was kind of like, if it wasn't for everything else that happened in the fight, like during the fight, I think the fight itself would have been really weak. But like the whole episode with the fight and everything surrounding the fight made this episode particularly very strong. Just like, I'm not too impressed with like the Frieza versus Goku fight, only because, like you said, that episode took like 10 to 15 episodes to like conclude. However, if you cut everything out and literally just leaving them fighting, it's probably arguably one of the best fights ever. But that's just not the case, because it spans over 15 episodes. So that's why I don't really like care too much about it. Excuse me.
Well, I think this episode also did a good job of managing the hype. Like, there's been hype for this fight literally since episode 1 of this season.
Yeah.
And I think it paid off well.
Yeah, it's good. Although I will say this, and this is one of the things that I can say that as much as I dislike Naruto, it does have arguably some of the best fighting scenes, like, in all, like, animes, arguably in all of anime history. I don't like the anime, but I have to conclude, like, all their fighting scenes, for the most part, leave me impressed.
Yeah, I was gonna say this actually reminded me, like, of a miniature scale of the Sasuke Naruto fight.
Yeah.
From the end of the original Naruto.
Yeah. It was
I think it paid homage to it a lot, especially the ending clash where you see Midoriya like charging toward Todoroki and with their attacks in hand, and it kind of reminded me of like the Chidori Rasengan scene. I think except
I'm not like except I wasn't surprised that he's gonna win, because Midoriya is literally like, even though he's launching towards him, he's still shooting a projectile, and Midoriya is physically like flying towards him. So of course the explosion is going to send him flying, and Todoroki's gonna be fine, because that's just how like physics works.
I will say this: Todoroki is so fucking broken as a character.
Oh, absolutely.
Like literally every character has a weakness accompanying their ability. And for half this fight, they gave Todoroki a weakness. Like, the more he uses ice, the more frostbitten his body gets. So like he's slower, he's chilled and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's interesting. That's why he finished this fight so fast, because he gets frostbite. But then he got his fire powers, and it's like, so
I'm now
he can literally just heat himself back up, and he's just an infinite like engine of power. Basically, if he heats himself up, he can cool himself down. If he cools himself too much, he can heat himself up. So just no drawback to his ability.
Well, I feel like even that, to a certain extent, like has a limit, I'm sure. And I like how they kind of, sneak that in. Especially because Bakugo, they use Bakugo to sneak that in. Bakugo's like, yeah, I know I'm OP as shit because I just blow shit up, but even, like, I can't just blow shit up for indefinitely. Like,
yeah, it's not infinite.
Yeah, neither. And then they, like, segue into, like, how even Todoroki is having his own limits.
Also, I don't know if it was because it was in the backdrop of the episode, but the whole stuff with Todoroki's mother is just that was low-key terrifying.
I totally hate Endeavor. Like, I actually don't...
I don't know why I was feeling like, Endeavor's getting slightly better. Nope.
No.
Endeavor, he is a piece of shit.
Endeavor was incredibly abusive to not only Todoroki, but to the mother as well.
Yeah. Also, somebody pointed out in a forum that the trigger for Todoroki remembering getting abused by his father and getting punched in the stomach was when he got punched in the stomach by Midoriya, which was a nice touch. But especially that scene with the he threw water, or when she threw that boiling water on him, and then his Endeavor's like, "Oh yeah, I put her in the hospital because she put you in the hospital." And I'm like,
I'm like, wait, you had her committed? The fuck?
Yeah, and that whole thing with him being like the hero that, he's one of the greatest heroes of all time, but secretly at his house he's just like an abusive parent that's clearly, psychotic and fucking abusive as hell to everybody around him.
Yeah.
Shows a very loose form of hero. It feels almost like Watchmen-like in that respect.
Definitely. Like, if this is like a Watchmen movie, like, Todoroki would definitely, like, kill his father, like, in a few episodes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I would literally applaud. Because I really don't like him. But yeah, no, this is a good episode. I enjoyed it.
This is the best episode. This was the best episode.
Yeah.
Sorry. Best episode for me.
I don't know. This is my episode of the week. I feel
like I can't fathom you having another best episode. Tamachi? Of course.
That's funny. I'm gonna look really quick and see if I have a favorite one. Excuse me. I think I do have one, but I don't think it's gonna be Hero Academia.
Wow. Woo.
I think it's gonna be all personal bias. That's all.
I think I know what it is then. All right. Well, I have nothing more to say about the episode. It was an astounding episode.
Yeah.
Best episode of the series. Probably one of the best shonen episodes ever. So I put it up there with those great, iconic fight scenes from all the different shonens.
Okay. Wait, before I move on, guess which one the next is.
Guess which one what?
Guess which one is my episode of the week before I go on. Just guess.
Renai Boken.
No. Close. No. Actually, mine's of this week is actually what I'm talking about now. Attack on Titan. That was my episode of the week.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, I just like.
I mean, this was an amazing episode of Attack on Titan.
It was because I'm so invested in Ymir. I'm so invested. This episode got me like invested in her like so hard. Like I'm just like wow. Like I'm on her side. I don't know what side that is, but I'm on her side. So excuse me. I forget specifically how I think the episode begins with kind of like recapping what happens last week with the scouts coming, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Reiner and Bert, they like had their little discussions about like recruiting Krista to the cause because they're like, hey, we need Krista. We really need Krista. She needs to like be alive. Yada yada yada. But then they see the scouts coming, and then they're like, well, shit, we gotta go because they're already here. And then he's like, all right, Eren, don't resist. And this is another reason why this is my episode of the week.
Oh, yeah.
Because Eren's like,
God.
I won't resist ever. And then
Good luck, Eren.
him down and proceeds to punch Reiner in the face with his stumps.
Maybe you should have waited a little bit for that one.
Oh, but Eren's stupid, so...
It's funny, because I can kind of relate to him for that. Like, if you're just so angry and you're like, fuck everybody, and you just fucking stump hands.
Punching with the stumps. Oh my god, that was like...
Which is kind of gross.
That's fucking hysterical. I was like, that's just this is such a great scene.
The only way it could have been better is they chopped off his legs too, and he's just like nibbling on
like he's like crawling to Reiner.
Yeah, I'll kill you. Just nibbling on his ankle.
So yeah, so obviously Reiner gets the better of him and knocks him out, and I think they like ask Ymir some questions about like. Or they talk to her about, like, her experience as a Titan. And they ask Ymir about, Oh, yeah, this whole conversation's happening as, like, Eren's passing out. And Ymir is, like, tells, Reiner, he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't even remember eating your friend. Like, I lived outside the wall for, like, 60 years. And I'm just like, I'm like,
yeah, we're gonna have to revise our theories after this episode.
Yeah, they're kind of crumbling apart in our faces. Oh, also way at the beginning, they like went back to Connie's hometown, and now they're like, kind of like drawing like, oh, what's the term? Connecting the dots, even though like anyone with like literally half a brain cell kind of already saw that.
Titans are people.
Like, whoa. That looks like Connie's mom, and then we're like,
damn dirty Titans.
Like, that's why I like didn't even mention it, because like I literally put that, like, to me that was like such an unnecessary scene.
Yeah.
That was literally like the most unnecessary scene. Like, when I first saw it and they were back there again, I thought like, I'm like, is this the wrong episode? Is this episode like 3 or 4?
The first
season. But yeah, anyways, so they make their retreat, but Ymir makes this whole thing. She's like, I need to see Krista again. Like, I need, like, to see her again. And then, excuse me. And then it kind of goes back to, like, her past, which is, like, super, super crazy. So essentially, she was just a beggar off the street, and she was taken by these cult members, and they're like, hey, you're going to be our idol, essentially, and you're just
not like you. Love Live or Idolmaster Idol.
Yeah, like an actual idolatry. Like, everyone's worshiping her as, like, being tied to, like, the king. Excuse me. And then, she grew up, and she was like, all right, this is cool, I guess. And then, excuse me, I guess, like, the armies or soldiers come in, raid the place, and they're like, hey, are you claiming to have the blood of the king? And she's like, yeah, I am. Fun fact, apparently at that time, lying about that, like, king... It's like a criminal offense, punishable by death. Which is kind of what happened. They stabbed him and and then they threw him off the wall into like a fire. And then somehow they don't in any way explain it. She becomes a Titan. Wouldn't that be interesting?
I have a theory for that.
Like, wouldn't that be interesting if like that's their actual punishment? They become Titans.
That's what I think it is. I think it's that, like, because this is far in the past or whatever. So what I'm thinking is, like, this they built this wall, and it was like their own little city, and then anyone who broke the rules, you're like, oh, you will like serve for immortality as like a Titan, and they'll just like put whatever they need, like they'll induce some kind of either serum or something in them that turns them into a Titan, and just basically kick them off into the wild, and like now you roam for eternity in the wild as a Titan,
or some mystic juju,
or like some ritual or some shit.
Yeah,
because that's what it looked like, that they just get pushed off the wall and then turned into Titans.
Yeah. Even though that only happened to her, like we didn't see anyone else, so we can't really prove that happened to the others, but it happened to her. So yeah, and then she kind of just roamed the wild, and then she kind of just like was like, I'm tired of this, and she went to sleep, and she's
forever
for 60 years. And of course, then they show like her waking up and then eating their friend, Reiner and Bert's friend. So yeah, that's how, and then they show her like, oh well, now that I'm all awakened after my 60-year slumber, I'm just going to be a pickpocket and learn how to
swindle
and work my way up and like have money and look out for number one. But then she like hears Krista's story, which like I guess like moves her, because she's like, we're the same, and I'm a lesbian, but we're the same. So yeah, Ymir, at this point, she quote unquote strongly insists on picking up Krista.
Yeah. Taking hostages.
Yeah, to a point where she's
I thought she slit Bert's throat.
No, she starts like shaking herself on his back, even though he's like using the sea, is it called sea gear? Or
what's the maneuver, 3D maneuver gear? Or
yeah,
something?
I think that sea gear is something from Pokemon, but
yeah, stop bringing your Pokemon theories into this.
Yeah. Wait, are you saying Ymir isn't Arceus?
Dun dun dun.
Okay, plot twist. But yeah, so then, and after all that fighting, like she's trying to sabotage him from like maneuvering around. We see like this flash of light, and we're like, oh shit, she's fucking them up. That's cool. And then the scouts finally reach the forest, and the people of the Eden gang, I don't know what to call them, but you know who I'm talking about, like,
yeah.
They finally reach Ymir, and then Connie's like, hey Ymir, like, where'd they go? And then they're like, oh wait, she's looking for something. And then there's Krista, and Krista is like, hey Ymir, I finally found you, yay! And then Ymir eats her.
Yeah.
Ymir straight up eats her.
So to be fair, I don't think she eats her, she just carries her in her mouth.
Yeah. Sorry. She just she opens, she just puts Krista in her mouth. Pause. And
you're saying is she? Alright, I'm not gonna go there. No sex jokes. This is a family-friendly podcast.
Yeah, and she dips. And then they're like, oh wait, shit, this is all ploy just to kidnap Krista, and she just outruns them because she's a fucking Titan. And they're not, and she just jumps on Reiner's back and they run away.
Yeah.
Very successful plan. It was fucking boss as shit. She was boss as shit. Her total life story is like incredible. Like I was like,
somebody needs to write a biography about.
Yeah, this is why this is my episode of the week. Like, don't get me wrong, the Midoriya and Todoroki fight was awesome, great, super great. But like this story, this whole episode pulled me in. Like I was invested in Ymir and everything that she goes through. I 100% loved it. That's why it's my episode of the week.
Yeah, way to go, turning a character who no one even knew about in season 1 into like the most
one of the best
awesome characters in season 2.
Like she's essentially like the lesbian version of Annie.
Yeah. Oh man, I can't wait till if Annie shows up again and we have like Annie, Ymir, fucking Reiner and Bert versus like Eren, Mikasa, and the rest of them, that's gonna be so fucking cool.
No, because Ymir and Annie and the rest of them are gonna win. You can't have Annie and then a lesbian Annie. Like, come on.
Well, maybe you have like Ymir and Annie convert to the light side of the Force.
I think Ymir and Annie should fight each other. I think that'd be cool.
That'd be cool. Well, no, Annie would destroy Ymir.
Yeah.
Anybody would destroy Ymir
Yeah,
in a
because
Titan fight.
she's so
tiny.
Maybe I don't know. That's yet to be seen.
It's yet to be seen, but I find it hard to believe Annie would. I mean, like, maybe the only one I can think of losing to Ymir is the Colossal Titan because he's just so slow and
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, all in all, great episode. I loved it.
Yeah, I think so. It was one of the better episodes of the season for Attack on Titan, which is saying a lot since, I mean, all the episodes are part of the better episodes for Attack on Titan.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah. Moving on. Ha! Yes! And I'm not doing it this week. Yes!
So, you want to do me a favor? And no, let me eat my medicine and fucking talk about Danmachi. Which, surprisingly, this was not as much as Drew's gonna fucking hate on it. This was not a bad
it wasn't.
episode.
It wasn't. I'm gonna tell you why.
I mean, it was no Gin, no Guardian, but...
I like Gin, no Guardian this week, but...
So... the episode is picks up right where I left off last time with Revis versus Ice. Now that Ice levels up, she's just fucking, I leveled up, so I don't even have to use my magic to beat the shit out of you. Like, literally just like, I'm not even gonna use my magic, and she just proceeds to beat the shit out of Revis. Revis mistakes her for her mother, which, okay, that's like, is that the first time we hear about Ice's mother? No, I think they mentioned her before, but...
Like, they mentioned her, but they don't, like, it was this episode where they made the connection, like, Arya is actually her mother. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Lafia is hearing the story about how Philvis survived the tragedy on the 27th floor. And essentially it was about a religious nut named Vendetta. He has another, I forgot what his other name is. But Vendetta, initiates this kind of, like, suicidal plan and ends up in a massacre that kills him and everyone around him. And Philvis is the only one who survives.
He's actually part of the group called Vendetta. His name is Oliver.
You sure? Act. I thought he was like Vendetta was his like pen name, a pseudonym or whatever. Anyway, whatever his name is, it doesn't matter because he dies this episode. He's completely fucking irrelevant.
Everyone called him by his real name, so I don't.
They call him by like 15 different names, but it's all irrelevant.
They all called him all of us. Like
they called him all of us at the end. When the guy was telling his story, he never once called him all of us Act or whatever his fucking name is. Anyway, it's whatever. He is the one who does all this shit, and it shows up. It turns out that after hearing about the story, Lafia goes to confront Philvis and gives her whole emotional speech about you have to be in a party, you have to trust us, and we're all friends, and we can live with each other, yada yada. Bete shows up and is like, yeah, I'm with her, let's all fucking fight together. Not really, but he does it in the best way he can possibly do it, while still being an asshole. And then they show up right in time to help with the party that's with Ice, who is fighting all the fucking snakes, plant snakes. And then Olivis shows up as like the master plant snake maker and challenges the whole party to a fight and is like some kind of half-breed between human and monster who survived the fight and was revived by somebody he calls, mistress or something. And he is basically surviving off one of the monster stones that's like been implanted in him. They fight until Ice and Revis's fight like breaks through the wall and ends in their room. And then Ice proceeds to just fucking... Oh, not Ice. Revis proceeds to just kill Olivis Act, or whatever the fuck his name is. And that's pretty much where it is. she eats the stone, gets more powerful, and says she's still not strong enough to beat Ice. So she challenges Ice to a fight on like the 57th floor, 59th floor, and leaves. And then Ice and her group plan an expedition to meet up with Revis for a final showdown.
Wow, that summary was all over the place, and that's coming from me.
It was
because
it's like, you know what, the show's all fucking over the place.
I mean, no, you and this is showing chronologically what happened. You literally just went and
because it's like the show. To be fair, the show.
I'm not complaining because I don't care about the show at all.
Jump scenes like from here to there to there to here to there. Like, it was not consistent in terms of, and that's one of my issues with the episode. It was not consistent in terms of just keeping a scene. It was just jumping all over the place.
I mean, I don't.
Also, there were some like timing issues on my part where it was like, really, Philvis and Bete and Lafia show up like that quickly to help the other group. I felt like it would take longer for them to meet up with each other.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Lafia because she.
Oh, she actually did shit. Yeah.
Yeah, she did a lot of shit. Like, Olivis, even though he got killed by Revis, like, it was Lafia and Beto, like, they're the ones who beat him pretty soundly.
Yeah, they beat him soundly, but he was still alive. And also, I forgot, Ice showed up and, like, killed his other giant snake in, like, one shot.
Yeah.
Because she's Ice.
Yeah. So she's back to God mode.
Yeah, she's God. We also, speaking of gods, we get a double ending credit scene, which is, I mean, seriously, guys, this is not a Marvel movie. We don't need intermediate, like, credits and then an extra scene and then more credits.
Yeah, it wasn't even that worth it.
Yeah. Arya is Ice's mother, which was, like, I guess, shown in the beginning of the episode, but we needed to reaffirm that. Also, she's a spirit. So Ice is literally like a god. Or at least half god.
Half spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I would like this episode, but, like, yeah, the whole going into Elf Girl's history and being that took way too long, in my opinion. Like, it was, like, really just, like, sucking the life out of me. I'm just like, oh.
They didn't need to elaborate on that at all. They did it last episode. They were like,
exactly.
Oh, there was a fucking tragedy on the 27th floor, and she survived.
It just really went in. And maybe it would have helped, like, if they used, like, a little bit more, like, illustrations, like, made it a little bit more animated, but all they did was, like, screenshots, essentially. Like, this is, like, the massacre that took place, and this is her being traumatized. And I'm like, I get it. Like, like, that part, that's what killed that's what stopped this episode from being, like, a good episode.
You know what would have been a good idea? If they had started this arc with that massacre, because once they name drop that dude, Olivis or whatever, and they're like, oh, he died too. I'm like, no, he didn't. I bet he's like one of the people behind this whole thing and he's going to show up later. But he ends up showing up in the same episode. So, like, way to hype somebody up for no reason in the same...
See, it's like,
that's why I didn't know who the guy was before this episode even started, and now all of a sudden I'm supposed to be like, oh, this is the major villain. No. And he's dead. He was introduced, hyped up, and killed in the same episode.
And for that reason is why Danmachi... at least this series, it'll just be just very borderline for me. It'll just be very...
Alright, let's talk about the nice parts of the episode.
And that's the end of that. No, I'm just kidding.
I did like the Revis Ice fight, and I think that, you know, the fighting scenes in general were pretty good.
Yeah. You totally
Although there was some weird animation here and there.
Yeah, you totally you kind of, like, didn't go into the fact how that girl, what's her name, Aspie, like, she started fighting, like, that other dude, and then, like, they all started fighting, and I like that they weren't totally, like, you know, bitches, like, in the sense, like, they weren't all like, oh my god, we're all so hopeless against, like, I remember how they were, like, struggling against, like, the snake monsters, like, from, like, the beginning of the episode, Lafia and the twins, but, like, these adventurers are like, alright, we're fighting them, like, it's fine, there's a lot of them, but we're, like, not dying.
Yeah, I didn't like that, because it's like, wow, these snake creatures that was such a threat, like, not even...
To be fair, it was only a threat
5 episodes ago, now we can kill hundreds of them at a time.
Because the twins didn't have their weapons.
But Lafia also got fucked up by the snake thing, and now she killed like literally dozens of them in one spell.
She killed dozens of them in one spell before. She did it the first time she fought them. That's her thing.
No, wasn't it just one that she killed with the spell after getting fucked up, like, and needing Ice's help?
She literally just needed time to cast the spell. I mean, what do you want from her? Stop making me defend this anime.
Yes, plan of success. You defended Danmachi. Ha!
No. But yeah, that's enough of that. Let's move on. Unless you have something else to say.
No, not really. I mean, it is what it is.
All right. Eromanga Sensei, the beach episode.
I wish this was my episode of the week. It fucking... God damn it, Attack on Titan and Hero Academia.
Yeah, this actually was like... This was a good episode. It introduces... At the beginning, well, okay, let me stop the setting. Essentially, they're all going to Yamada's island resort place thing. And then they're joined by a new character, her brother Chris. What? What's so funny?
No, I'm just, every time I think of Chris, I think of my Chris.
Oh, yeah.
Personal thing.
Damn it, now I'm gonna think about it. Which is, like I said, it's Yamada's older brother and her editor. At the hotel, like when they make, sorry, not the hotel, at the, I don't know, the condo, ? As they're making like arrangements of who's sleeping where, Shindo makes a lot of like, I don't know, he just assumes for some reason that Izumi's gay.
See, that was from the other episode that you hated so much, which was he assumes Izumi's gay because he thinks Eromanga is male, and and then their relationship together.
Right.
But you're too busy hating on that episode to actually care about it. So whatever.
Yeah. If only it was more interesting, I would have paid attention. Oh, well then I guess I'm gonna just skip over this now, where I assume for some reason Shindo's gay.
He was like just projecting his
yes.
feelings onto You were giving him his own character arc. Good job. You did more writing for him than the actual author did.
So skip to the beach. It begins one of amazing beach scenes between Yamada and Izumi, where she immediately strips her top off and she's like, put on sunscreen. And that while her brother is just watching like some fucking voyeur, like, oh, that's kind of weird.
And then she gives her little super lewd lines.
Yeah. And then this becomes like a whole montage of them like just participating in like summer activities, and it's like, oh my god, yeah, like her being really extra, but like in a really good, fun, entertaining way.
I did like the little like tidbits that they gave where it was like, oh, now you can teach me how to swim. And like, I don't know how to swim. Why don't you teach me how to swim? No, I don't know how to swim either. Oh well, scrap that idea.
Yeah, that's right.
No one's swimming today.
Yeah. Muramasa finally appears. Apparently Elf bullied her into wearing like that very skimpy bikini.
It wasn't even that skimpy. It was just a regular bikini. Could have been worse.
Okay, let me put it this way. That's normal, like in anime. Like in real life, that would be pretty, like, yeah, that'd be pretty skimpy. Yeah, and they have like their fun, and they do have their fun little events, whatever. Then we're gonna cut to Chris and Masume are taking a bath together, and Chris asks him about, potentially marrying Yamada, and Izumi is like, no. And of course, when he's asking him about marriage, of course, Shindo appears, and Shindo, with his repressed homosexuality, cannot deal with it, and runs away.
Yes. Shindo's character arc advances.
Yes, I'm sorry. From here on out, in my mind, he's gay. So while they're gassing up Yamada, Chris and Izumi, Elf is like, you can clearly hear that Elf is eavesdropping on them.
I thought that was nicely done though, because like you never see Elf eavesdropping on them, but she mentions like, oh, if you want to peek on us,
I love it. I love that. Was so
like
funny.
The wall creaks if you're trying to peek over the wall, and then you just hear the wall creaking in the background as they're talking, so you know that she's just like listening in on them and watching them.
Yeah. So later on, Elf asks Izumi to go for a walk with her. And then they walk, and then they go to some lake that's like all lit up with fireflies, super beautiful, lovely, whatever. Yamada explains to them the importance of said lake. This is where her dad proposed to her mother, yada yada, and like the whole history of like their courtship. And ultimately, she's like, she kind of, in a really backwards way, kind of proposes to Izumi, like, and like that weird, stupid tsundere way, like, oh, well, you're a candidate for marriage, so
yeah,
you
she
can.
Literally just says you're one of the candidates for my husband.
Exactly, like, you can marry me if you want, like, it's no big deal. And I'm just like, all right, and then she finally reveals her name, which I almost guessed it correctly. I said, really? Yeah, I thought I said Amelia, but it ended up being Emily.
All right, ReZero.
Exactly. No, I'm not gonna lie. That's exactly what I thought of. I was like, but no, it was Emily. And that was pretty much it. It was a good episode. Lots of Yamada in a really good way. Like, I like that it's. Usually, I hate this kind of character archetype where it's like super obnoxious and over the top, but like consistently, she's
so well done.
Yeah, it's to the point where it's like it's not like they do rub it in your face, but to like a certain extent, like they don't make her too much a caricature. Like, she has depth to her.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I hate this. What this author does, this. I forget his name. It's like Tsukasa Fukushimi or something. He does this. I'm just going to call these characters the Kuroneko, where he literally puts a character in the show as like the main rival to the main character as a love interest. And is like, I'm going to make this girl purposely the best character in the fucking show so everybody can love her. But she's never going to end up with the person she loves. And it's just going to be the sister that wins. Like, in this case, I don't mind as much because I kind of like Sagiri too, but Elf is so clearly the best character in the show, like by far the best character, just like Kuroneko was. Fight me.
No, because first of all, I don't remember. No, like no, as I'm not gonna fight you because I don't even remember Orimo like that. But yeah,
Kuroneko was essentially, it was literally almost exactly like Elf in terms of.
Yeah, I know she was a good character, like, because, like, when you say her, like, she pops up in my mind. Like, I know what she looks like and everything. But, but the sister was a total bitch, and, like, I hate her, so.
Yeah, but, I mean, at least now Sagiri is well, she's leagues above Kirino was, but, I don't know. Elf is just so much better. So painful.
You'll live.
No, I will not. Elf is great.
Alright, Elf angst aside, let's move on to the next one.
Next up is Renai Boken. This episode, another... God damn it. Shut up, Alexa.
Hey, Alexis, what's up?
Shut up, you're triggering it. Anyway, I'm not editing this out. Anyway, Renai Boken. This episode was... I lost my train of thought. This episode... Oh, Akane and Guri episode, right. So, it starts off with Akane being all clingy to I forgot, is it Seiji? And then he essentially wants her to get along more with Guri, and the whole episode is simultaneously her trying to get along with Guri. Meanwhile, Yuzu is in her own little world trying to. She finally goes to her normal school because her mother's forcing her to go, but she still kind of sneaks off into the other school with Seiji and Akane, and she's going through a mental crisis because she's realizing she has feelings for Seiji. And to make things even better, there's a new transfer student who is Shikimi, who just transfers because Akane's mother wants her to keep tabs on Seiji and Akane, which totally ruins Akane's mood. Like, a lot. And it also paves the way for her to fuck with Yuzu by making her question if she really loves Akane as much as she says, or if she's falling for Seiji. To the point where Yuzu even kisses Seiji just spontaneously, and then becomes totally flustered and runs off back home, and then staying away from the school. Meanwhile, the culture festival, is it the culture festival that they're putting on a play for? Yeah, they're gonna put on a play. I'm like,
it's some school festival.
Yeah, it's some school shit. They're putting on a play, which the student president, by the way, was totally awesome. It's like, I decided for us that we're gonna put on this play. No need for democratically deciding this at all. And then Akane is casted as like the prince, along with Guri being one of the suitors, and Shikimi being Shikimi being the other suitor.
No, Shikimi is the princess.
Oh no, is it Shikimi being the princess?
Yeah.
And then those two are the suitors, right?
Yeah.
Well, Akane is still the prince.
Yeah, Akane's still the prince.
And then
Guri is the
and
rival.
Guri's like a fucking pirate.
Oh my god. I love
her. Another random Guri moment. So they get ready for the festival and for the play, while Yuzu's having her mental breakdown. Seiji goes to meet with Yuzu to kind of confront her about everything. She kind of has her moment of tsundere-ness with him, like, I'm not really into you, don't decide my feelings for me, and just runs off. Then the play gets on, and Seiji is a tree in the background. And things come to a head when Akane and Guri begin fighting, and Shikimi. Fuck, I actually forgot what happens during the play. Andrew, take the reins from here. I completely forgot what happens in the middle of the play.
So
this is what happens when we don't do this yesterday.
That's the only reason why? All right. So essentially, in the middle of the play, what happens?
There we go. See, you don't remember.
No, I remember. Akane and Guri are fighting, like you said, and then Yuzu just comes in. She like in the middle of the play.
I thought there was something that prompted their fighting, though. I know Shikimi.
No, like that's what happens. Like they start fighting. Yuzu comes in. Shikimi literally throws Seiji right in the middle, like, because they all stop in the middle of the audience, and Shikimi just throws Seiji into, like, the walkway where they're having their moment, and then they continue to have their moment, like.
I thought there was some trigger for their fight.
Oh,
in any case.
I know what you're talking about. So, because essentially Akane she's kind of mad about like Yuzu not being there, so she's like kind of breaking character, and she's like grilling Shikimi. She's like, bitch, what the fuck did you do to Yuzu?
Right.
And then
and I remember Akane being a shitty act.
Yeah, she was putting on a shitty act, and then Guri does what she does best and literally just brings everyone back together, like, to what they're supposed to be doing. And so she like antagonizes Akane, and which I thought was like one of the funniest parts of this episode. Akane looks at Seiji and does like the penguin thing. The demon
Yeah,
does,
with her eyes.
with her eyes. She's like, so I can kill her, right? And then they start fighting.
Yes, perfect. That's what I was missing. Great. So, picking up from there with the whole Yuzu popping in the middle of the audience hall, she basically comes in and is like, listen, I love my sister, I love you, Akane, but she doesn't outright say she loves Seiji. She's just saying that she has feelings, but she'll always love Akane the most, and she confesses that she kissed Seiji. But instead of going crazy, Akane just kind of, like, confronts her, or not confronts
Consoles
her,
her.
but comforts her, and lets her know that this wouldn't get in their way, and she appreciates her feelings and all that. Meanwhile, she takes advantage to kiss Guri because Seiji had requested that they get along better, and if they did, he would kiss her. So she just kisses Guri in an amazing kiss scene they just have in the middle of the hall. And she kind of confronts Shikimi, saying she's not going to let her win and get in the way of their love.
Okay, so I'm going to just run along some points that... I mean, to be fair, Red Knight Boken always has a lot going on. Like, I always have, like, half a page at minimum of notes because, like, there's so much shit. But, you know who really stood out in this episode besides Akane, who was, like, really great? And even though this is a easy episode, you know who I really liked? Even though
Guri?
No, because Guri's always great. I actually like Shikimi. She's...
Really? I couldn't stand Shikimi. I still can't stand Shikimi.
I know, because, like, that's the whole point. That's why I like her. Like,
She
does her role so well. Like, she literally said, like, oh, I didn't even lift a finger. And yet she caused so much... Like, she literally goes down the line and fucks with everyone's head this episode. And she does it so well. Like, she easily... Well, I wouldn't say easily. She very... very forcefully plants to see in Yuzu's head. Even at the end of the episode, she starts planting seeds in Goodi's head. Like, and then of course she's fucking with Akane from start to finish. Yeah. Like, she just does what she's supposed to do so well. And, like, not even in a way where it's, like, obnoxious. Like, she does it like a true, like, good villain. She's just a good villain. She's a good antagonist.
She is a good manipulator.
Yeah.
I think there's a difference between being, like, a good villain and, like, a likable villain. Like, I agree she does what she's supposed to do and she's good at it, but she's still not likable in the same way I would think, like, you know, the Joker or something is likable as a villain. It's just like, yeah, you're doing your job well and you're a good villain. It's just that you're not a character I like. Like, I don't know. Maybe if she had more depth of character. Like, right now, all I see her is, like, a crazy person who fucking tries to manipulate everybody.
Yeah. I don't know. I just like that. I like that. And because, I don't know. I find it... Like, this is going back to Kuzuno Honkai. Like, I don't... Like, if you're going to have someone play the bitch, like... Alright, play the bitch. I mean... This is two different categories of anime, so it's like I'm not expecting like this whole life story of why she got to this point. I'm just expecting her to be an antagonist, and she's like, I'm an antagonist, and I do antagonist things, and I do it well, and she does it well. Like, this isn't a drama. This isn't like...
Yeah, but in a show where everyone else has so much depth of character, like, could do a little more with Shikimi. Like, I like Akane's mother more as an antagonist than I like Shikimi.
Yeah, that's like Akane's mom, so it's like, it makes sense. Like,
yeah.
As opposed to, like, Akane's mom being like, you're kicking you out the house, and you can't be, like, da-da-da, and you can't live here anymore. I'm like, I expect that whole thing to be resolved in somewhat good way, because this is still, like, a comedy. Like, I'm not expecting it to be, like, heartfelt, well, like, you know, like, super crazy struggle and, like, insane sadness all the time. So I just think, in this episode specifically, Shikimi performs very well. As opposed to just, like, what she did in the beginning. Oh, I'm just going to be crazy and just kidnap people and stab them and yada yada yada. Like, this episode is like, I'm not gonna kill anyone, but I'm still gonna stir the pot. I'm still gonna do shit.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna do it effectively because it does fucks with everyone's mind throughout the entire episode. And maybe she doesn't need a reason. Maybe she's just fucking crazy. I can accept that. There are people who are just crazy.
I don't know. It just doesn't. She doesn't rub me the right way, I guess. I
mean, that's fine. Another thing I wanted to point out is like another good scene where Yuzu is literally just like going back and forth. Like, this is a scene after where like Shikimi kind of fucks with Yuzu's head. Like, she's in class and she's like antagonizing over it, and she literally just starts banging her head in the middle of class, like, slamming it. Like, it was
giving herself a concussion.
It's fucking hysterical because it was hysterical because it's the last character you expected to do that.
Right. Yeah.
This is a very good episode for Yuzu.
I think it was also a really good episode for Akane.
Yes, it was, because she did. She really grew a lot, because like the Akane from episode 1 would have just like stabbed her, because just like in episode 1, she actually tried to stab her.
And she's used more, like, she has more emotion now. Like before it was just like stab. She was always serious type, but now you can actually see her like when she's embarrassed or when she's comedic and happy and shit. So it's they're doing more with her character, which is awesome. Yeah,
very good. Very, very good though.
Still the best.
Shout out to Umineko. To all the Umineko fans.
God, if Eriko's a villain, then
oh, let's not go there. We're trying to.
That's a good.
We're trying to. We are no. I mean, yes, but no. I hate her. God, I hate her. Next, please.
Go on. Next is your favorite show of all time.
Oh, right. I did so much talking in Renaiboku, and I thought that was... Alright, so... The episode essentially starts with Team Rocket celebrating a day of pillaging countless, like, victims. I'm not sure if you guys know what I mean by Team Rocket. I mean,
they gave themselves a name. I just forgot what it was.
Yeah,
they're just
like,
Team Rocket.
Like gold. What? I was gonna call them the Gold Diggers. I'm like,
they're the gold. That would be awesome. They're the Gold Diggers.
Oh my god, that's an awesome name. We're gonna call them the Gold Diggers because it's probably better than any name they want. I mean, they have.
And they are technically Gold Diggers, so
So and then they, like, for some reason they see a guy who's all like sad and whatever, and they're like, oh, maybe we should ask him what's wrong. And I'm like, why? And then it cuts to Temujin, who seems like he's making a move against Precious using like one of
these names.
Using like some app. Like they have like the phone app that Suijin has, but it's red.
So, before we go on, I wanted to know, that Temujin shit that's going on, that's in the real world, right? Not in Great Buster. Because, didn't the girl, like, teleport out when she gave him the app and shit? And and the other girl was like a midget, looks like straight out of a game or something? Like, I don't know if it's in the real world or not.
Yeah, I can't tell either. They're not really being specific about that. I feel like they're definitely blurring the lines on purpose. There's no way they can be like consciously.
Now you're giving it way too much credit.
They can't be consciously.
It's purposely saying, like, obfuscating facts.
Well, we can't know because remember they can. I feel like there's like a part of them that can use. You know what? Maybe it could be in the real world, and then they're keeping her in the other world.
Rikure is there.
Yeah.
So
like,
I mean,
that could be like, I don't know. And I guess in our minds, we just assumed like, oh, because they're dressed like that there's no reason it's happening in the real world. They must be in the game, but it could totally be in the real world. especially because he has like the app in his hand. So
yeah, it could be like Inception, where they're in a game within a game.
Exactly. Anyways, so Team Rocket finds out what's wrong with. Oh, sorry. Gold Diggers find out what's wrong with like that one dude who's all like mopey. Apparently, a strong team from Precious was taken out by some mystery woman. And also, fun fact, if you run out of money in the game, you're forcibly logged out. And I think, what did they also say, like, your account is, like, deleted?
I think your account is deleted or something. But, by the way, that's a horrible business practice. You don't want your player base to just be, like, purposely deleted.
That would be good. That would be good
making money.
If you made a game just for filthy rich people.
Yeah, I guess so. But imagine Dark Souls, you run out of souls and you can never play the game again.
And I guess that's it for Get Good series. If you haven't been watching, you should check it out. It's pretty dope.
Plug.
But yeah, so they're going back and they're about to start pillaging more people. Well, they are in the middle of pillaging more people, I believe. And then the mystery woman appears, and that said mystery woman is the one who just randomly shot Sujin in the chest. So then they start fighting. She effortlessly traps 3 of the members of Team Gold Digger, which just leaves her 1v1 against Wild Wolf. And it's so funny because you were like, oh, Wild Wolf, he looks so cool and so badass. And this episode, he's a total bitch. He's turned into a total bitch and is literally blown away by a giant gold bar meteor.
His sword was awesome, by the way. His sword ability was he steals the money from people he stabs. But if they have more money than him, it drains all his money, and she happened to have more money than him. So.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
I like Wild Wolf.
Yeah, too bad he
was so cool.
Yeah, for like 5 seconds. And he was totally a bitch at the end. And
it's like Team Rocket lost its Meowth.
Ouch. Ouch.
Now we just have Jesse James and Wobbuffet.
I don't see the problem is Wobbuffet is the best.
Or I guess Jesse James and Mimikyu at this point.
Oh, right. But yeah, and as she leaves, she uses her calling card or whatever. She's like, my name is the Collector, as in total bad bitch style, rides away in her super boss carriages of like flaming
that
horses.
carriage. No, yeah, I'm about to say like that flaming horses and all that shit.
Yo, I'm like, wow, she's officially like my favorite character. She's so badass. And then,
how much do you want to bet that is Rikude? I mean, they look identical, so.
But why would she shoot Sujin?
I don't know. Maybe she's under. What does anything in the show make sense? Maybe she's under mind control or something.
Maybe. Actually, that would make sense because he got the controller. Temujin got the controller.
Mm-hmm.
She could have just gave it to Rikure and be like, "Oh, if you want to be safe or whatever, I don't know, some kind of deal. Like, play the game. This way, there's some unknown character with a shit ton of money. Wait, no, but she doesn't have any money. She's in debt. So where'd she get all that money from? One. But let's just continue with the stupid theory.
Lines.
Yeah, let's just go with stupid theory. Anyways, she's in the game.
Yo, if that theory is real, you're gonna be so sorry that you just called it a stupid theory.
Yeah, it's a stupid show, so like whatever.
oh, now it's a stupid show, huh?
Yeah, it is a stupid show. I still enjoy it, but it's a stupid show. Yeah, like and then it basically be like, okay, now fuck with Precious and all the Tomb Raiders, and keep Sujin safe at the same time, and we'll let you live or something. Like, that sounds plausible. Cause
I think that's too much thinking for the show. I don't think the show would do that.
Yeah, you're right. That's way too much. But, I'm entitled to my opinions.
Sure.
And speaking of opinions, I think that it's time to move on to the last anime of the podcast.
All right. We have Alice Todoroki, which is always last because no one likes it.
No one likes good. No one likes
to
good
all
anime.
the ratings. This episode kind of takes a completely different turn. We don't get much of Sana from the beginning part of the episode. Instead, we get an incredibly depressing story about another girl named Hattori who is graduating, and I think she's going to middle school?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's going to middle school, and her mother, she's picking out book bags with her mother, and her mother's just like, just depressed because she didn't get into like an all-star school, and is like, oh, pick this shitty book bag that doesn't have the school insignia on it. And then she ends up overhearing her parents fighting about...
They drove this so hard. I don't know why. They literally just...
Guys, first off, Japan, I need you guys to take a chill pill. It's middle school. It's not fucking
why
college.
Why is like, I understand like you'd be like disappointed, yada yada, but like why is her whole like life falling apart because of this?
Yeah,
like,
her parents are like borderline getting divorced because she didn't get into a good middle school. Like, this is your fault. Like, they're arguing in the fucking living room about how this is all the father's fault for not being there and shit, and then she's just listening to this and crying and goes to her bed and starts praying for them, or praying that they'll be, that they won't get a divorce. I'm like, all right, way to start off a good episode. Alice Todoroki. I'm 5 minutes in and we're getting a new girl whose life is in shambles and her parents are about to get divorced because she can't get into a good middle school. And her wish sort of come true, where she now gets one of the Alice's dream fragments or whatever they're called.
Gate.
And a gate, and she's now able to, her ability is basically absolute command. Anything she orders somebody to do, they do. And she, at first, kind of doesn't even realize this her ability, but she, like, uses it to get her parents to be happy and together again. Then she starts using it throughout the day for little mundane things like telling people to not run in the hallway or to obey traffic signals. And then she meets up with her friend, forgetting her friend's name.
Ayumi or Ayumu?
Oh, Ayumu. She meets up with Ayumu, and they realize what her power is. And at first she's kind of like disturbed by it, which of course you would be. So they start testing it out. And then she decides that she wants to, she continues going through school, and then everybody acknowledges that she's, your mother's so nice and wonderful. And she begins to feel more guilty and realizes that they're only this way because she made them this way, not because that's how they truly feel. So she decides to run away, and Ayumu decides to join her in running away. And she still has no idea how to control her powers. Then we cut over to Sana, who is totally different state of affairs, where she's helping Zoroku clean up shop, and the twins are coming over to have fun and have a play date. And we get a little bunch of cute Sana moments where she's cleaning. But then, of course, we cut back to the twins who are on their way doing all these cute little detours and shit. And, of course, Hattori shows up and freezes time for, like, everybody. It's a broken ability. She just, like, freezes everybody in time. And goes about doing her normal thing with Ayumu. They go get ice cream or crepes or whatever, and they just go about their day. Meanwhile, Sana is also... Zoroku and everybody else is affected. Sana's the only one who's not affected. And she just has her little mental breakdown of like, oh my god, why is no one moving? Why is time stopped? Oh my god, what's going on? She ends up running into Hattori and Ayumu, and for like 7 hours just sits there panting.
Yeah.
Totally unnecessarily. Like, Jesus. for like 4 minutes. I'm not even kidding. And then they get into an epic fight. Not really, though.
No.
Both their gates basically cancel each other out. And then Sana just starts slapping or punching and, baby hitting Hattori. And then Hattori shoves her.
Better fight than Todoroki.
Yeah, best fight. I think this is one of the best shonen fights of all time, guys. Say what you want about Frieza and Goku, but you know what? But yeah, no. So Hattori just shoves her, and I mean, that was it. We get the whole thing with she still doesn't know how to control her powers, and she's totally confused about what's going on. Yeah. And Sana's not making it any better.
Yeah, because Sana also doesn't know anything.
Yeah,
and...
but I mean, I feel like Sana was out of character a bit in that scene where she just she didn't even bother to figure anything, explain a little bit of anything.
Yeah, she was just very quick to anger.
Yeah, she was extremely quick to anger, and to the point where even Ayumu was just like, "Hey, can you explain what's going on and what this power is?" And then, I mean, they clearly don't know what they're doing, and then Sana's just like, "No."
Yeah, but Sana's also
Todoroki.
A child who has gone through a lot because of other people with gates. So, at first I agreed with you, but then I thought about the episode where Minisi kidnapped her, and I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, yeah, and then when another one with the gate kind of stops everyone in time, and you're panicking and afraid of everything all the time. Yeah, and you're
also,
a 9-year-old
I forgot.
girl.
I forgot the part where Sana literally almost killed both of them with a giant Santa Claus.
Oh, yeah.
That was kind of... She almost squashed them to death, so...
Yeah.
Good job, Sana. Almost committing...
She's I'm not asking questions
double
anymore
homicide.
Because... I ask questions, and then I end up getting...
Went from 0 to 100 in 2 seconds flat.
Yeah. So yeah, I understand.
Overall, I think it was a good episode.
It was a good episode.
I mean, it's doing this thing where we can't be too happy all the time, so we have to be super depressing sometimes, and we have to have a super depressing episode.
Yeah.
And I mean, as far as this show goes, it wasn't super depressing.
It wasn't. Yeah, Hattori, I think at the end, I hope she comes back. Maybe, maybe not. Yeah, she left, by the way, just because she's okay, I really don't know how, she felt a twinge of empathy. She's okay, this other girl's very scared because she also doesn't know what's going on, which is probably why she's attacking me. So let me just go away. So yeah, she was very mature about the situation.
Yeah, and she realized that she was doing bad things.
Yeah, minus. Oh yeah, when she kept referring to herself.
She identified with Sana. Was oh my god, this girl must have been so scared because everybody stopped moving except her.
The whole good witch, bad witch story.
Yeah. Which I didn't see why it was so factored in as much. I guess they're trying to paint Sana as a good witch or something.
No, they're trying to talk how she's a good witch, and then she used her powers well, and then she became a bad witch when she stopped. Okay,
but why the witch storyline? I don't get why there needs to be an analogy to witch.
They just call it because it's a story. Basically, it's just the whole story.
Yeah, I get it, but it wasn't connected to anything, so it's just kind of weird.
It's showing her progression, how she used it for good, and then she progressively became more selfish with it. It was a perfect analogy, for this episode.
But it's not an analogy. All right, it's not an analogy to anything else. It's just a self-contained. She was good, and then she became more corrupted and bad, and then she's trying to be good again. You didn't need to necessarily use witches for that. It's
I don't know why. Why are you so hard on the fact that they use the word witches?
I'm sorry, they did an inappropriate analogy. I'm sorry. This is all it was. I mean, if you're gonna do a metaphor and analogy, I would assume it'd be deeper than that.
No, it's a self-contained
element.
What do you? What?
It's too simple. I mean, it was just, I don't know, just rub, like, I'm sorry, can I have my pet peeves?
She is 9
Can I have
years
my
old.
pet peeves?
She is 9 years old. How is it supposed to be?
Can I have my pet peeves, please? I mean, if it was something like, this was a story that her mother used to read to her when she was in elementary school, and now this is a big deal to her about being a good witch or bad. Like, it's just no reason to have good witch, bad witch as a storyline plot for this. Like, I don't know, might as well just had good potato, rotten potato. Like, there's no, it's self-contained for no reason.
I mean, no, you can't. Well, potatoes can't really do that.
I'm just saying.
No, the whole point of the Good Witch is
just
that
saying. It wasn't related
she's a little
to anything
girl
else. It was just herself calling
herself a good witch. She's a little human
and
girl who got power, just like in the story. And they're like, be a good witch and do good things, and don't become a bad witch.
But no one told her that story. What was that story like
I think
related to?
I think it was a book that she read. Like, it was like a...
I didn't see her reading no book about witches.
It's a story that it's just a story that she knows. I don't know why you're harping on this so much.
Because it was not necessary. A story could have been told just as well without it. And if you're trying to do metaphors and analogies, then you might as well relate them to other characters in the story, or like have some point of reference for this analogy. Like I said, like if this was a story that her mother read to her, and I don't know, illustrates now that her mother was once a good mother and now is a bad mother to her, and yada yada yada, and she thinks because it's her being a bad witch. I don't know, whatever. It wasn't necessary.
All right,
they could have done more with the metaphor.
All right, vote Silver Oni 2020 grassroots movements for witches. Which is witch representation in the community, witches' rights.
I will not stand for this slander against witches. For too long, the witch has been crushed underneath the heel of capitalism.
Yes, and just like all the dirty conservatives in the government, we are going to ignore those statements and end this episode. If you enjoyed it, by all means, like, comment, and or subscribe. Whatever, kiss my ass. and with that very spicy comment, I bid you all adieu. Bye.
Later.